everybody, welcome to PBM's Video Entertainment, and welcome back to another episode of Thomas & Friends DVD Reviews. In this video, we're going to be talking about a Thomas movie that everybody in the fandom really, really loves. And I'm of course talking about The Adventure Begins. So, without further ado, let's jump into the history of The Adventure Begins. So, The Adventure Begins was originally released back in March 3rd of 2015 by Hit Entertainment and Universal Studios. And this DVD actually used to be a Walmart exclusive release until Valentine's Day of 2017. It was re-released nationwide, so it's not a Walmart exclusive DVD release anymore, technically. And this title was also released over in Canada as well. And it could also be found in a Walmart exclusive double pack with Dinos and Discoveries. And now we got the history part done, let's jump into my copy of The Adventure Begins. Alright, we will now jump into my copy of The Adventure Begins. So, here is the DVD copy in all its glory. Yeah. So, I got this for my birthday back in 2015. I got this along with basically, what I'm trying to say is I got this in a double pack. So, this one came with a DVD copy of Dinos and Discoveries. And, yeah. And of course, it had the Walmart exclusive sticker, but I removed it just because, I don't know, just to make it look much better. You can see, all the details and everything. Anyways, let's have a look at the front poster art, shall we? So, here we have Thomas, and here we have Edward and Sir Topham Hatt in the book. And then here we have Gordon, Henry, and James, and then here we have the windmill, and then up top, all new special feature, Thomas & Friends logo, The Adventure Begins title card. Pretty nice front poster art. Spine, Hit Entertainment, scrolling down here. Character profile of Thomas, same promo shot of Thomas, just like with the front poster art. DVD video logo, Universal Studios. Same thing on this spine. And the back, the big story of the Little Blue Engine. And here we have the blurb, bonus features. And here we have Thomas and Sir Topham Hatt. Link to the Thomas website. And yep. And here's what it looks like without the slipcover. The only differences that I see is the top part. On the slipcover says all new special feature, while this one just says special feature. Spine. And then back. And the running time is approximately 46 minutes. And here's a disc, squished version of the front poster art. And the DVD is Region 1. And I gotta say, unfortunately, there is no Blu-ray copy of The Adventure Begins. Sad face. Yeah. Yeah, it would have been cool if all the Thomas movies were released on Blu-ray. If you know what I mean. Anyways, now we'll do the menu tour for The Adventure Begins. Alright, we have now jumped into the menu tour for The Adventure Begins. So here we have play, scene selection, language selection, and bonus features. So, for our scene selection, here we have 6 scenes to choose from. And next for our language selection, as usual, English, Spanish, and French. Last but not least, the special features. We have 1 bonus episode, which is Old Reliable Edward. And then 2 music videos, Really Useful Engine and Troublesome Trucks. And then here we have trailers from Hit Entertainment and Universal. And yeah, that's it for the menu tour. Now let's jump into my review and thoughts on The Adventure Begins. So overall, do I recommend The Adventure Begins? Well, let's talk about the story plot first. What is it basically about? So, it's basically an adaptation of the first 2 Railway series books by the Rev. W. Awdry, which were previously adapted for the first season of Thomas & Friends back in 1984. And this movie was made to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Thomas & Friends franchise. So, what do I think about the story plot for this one? Well, I thought the story plot was pretty good. There was a lot of surprising twists in this film because, well, for example, in the beginning, basically in the beginning of the film, we see Thomas painted green, and he wasn't originally number 1 and everything. And then, yeah, he was number 70, which which if some of you did not notice that, the reason why, it's because, well, I mean, that's basically an Easter egg. Like, Thomas' original number 70, yeah, is to like celebrate 70 years of Thomas, because of course this film was originally released back in 2015, and back in 2015 it was the year of the 70th anniversary of the entire Thomas and Friends franchise. Yeah. And so yeah. And now, as for like Thomas' debut in like the Railway series, and of course season 1 of Thomas, we didn't see him like painted green and everything. So I love how they did a twist on this one for The Adventure Begins. Now for James, in the Railway series, like in the Railway series book story, Thomas and the Breakdown Train, we see James like he was originally painted black, and now he's painted red. And now, as for of course season 1, we see James just painted red, and then yeah, and then after the accident, he's still red, you know. And now, as for The Adventure Begins, for James, well, we see him like he was originally painted black, and then at the end of the movie, he's now painted red and everything. And yeah, so I love how they did that. I wish they would have done that for season 1 of Thomas. Yeah. And now, one thing I want to say about Henry. For Henry, he still has this like new shape. I really wish they would have had Henry in his like old shape and everything. That would have been really good. That would have been fantastic. But I mean, I guess that's not a big deal, since I don't think they would do a CGI remake of like Henry Special Cole, the Flying Kipper, or anything. I mean, I know the CGI Thomas is I know Mattel stopped making CGI Thomas, and now they're making like All Engines Go and everything. Yeah, I mean, I swear, every time I see like Brennan era Thomas CGI episodes, I feels like Mattel should have came back to you know, the Brennan era of Thomas. Like in the CGI series, like I gotta say, the Brennan era, it's fantastic. We get to see like, of course, like some old friends from like the classic era and stuff like that. And yeah, I really wish Mattel would jump back to the Brennan era when it comes to CGI Thomas and everything, because it's just spectacular, you know. Anyways, back to the story plot. I thought they did really good with the story plot. Like they made it just like the original and everything. Like, so yeah, I gotta say, Hit Entertainment, he did a really nice job with like the CGI retelling of basically the first 2 Railway series books and season 1 of Thomas, basically. So, great job with the story plot, Hit Entertainment. And now let's talk about the characters. I mean, of course, we see the same characters just like with the first 7 episodes of season 1, and of course the first 2 books from the Railway series, which of course the characters we see: Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, and James. And then we get to see Annie and Clarabelle, the Troublesome Trucks, and Sir Topham Hatt. And yeah. And now, to my surprise, there was like 3 new characters added to this film. The 3 new characters, it was Judy and Jerome, the Breakdown Train, and Glenn, the Coffee Pot Engine, which we didn't get to see him until like the end of the movie. Yeah. But then, of course, those 3 characters came back in season 20, which that is pretty awesome. Yeah. So I think it's kind of cool how, well, hear me out on this. Like, on season 1, we see just, like, the Breakdown Train with, like, no faces whatsoever. But now with The Adventure Begins, they decided to, have the Breakdown Train, like, have faces and names, you know. Like, one's named Judy and one's named Jerome, which I thought they did pretty good with that. And I love, like, at the beginning, we'd see, like, the original number 1 engine, which is Glenn. And, of course, he's voiced by, Keith, Wickham, I think that's his name. The guy that voiced, of course, Skarloey and, Sir Topham Hatt, and a couple of other characters we know in the CGI series of Thomas. Yeah. Like, every time I hear, like, Glenn's voice, I always think of Skarloey. Like, Glenn, I'm gonna be honest with you, Glenn kind of reminds me of Skarloey because, one, both engines are painted red, and second, both engines are number 1. Yeah. So I think they did pretty good, like, with the new characters and everything in this film. And now, let's talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack's really good, like, I love the music score. The music score is amazing. I mean, it feels like you're watching, like, a CGI remake of, like, the classic era of Thomas. Like, it's just really good. Now for the songs, Really Useful Engine and Troublesome Trucks, which, of course, they're basically, like, remakes. Like, basically, they covered those songs for this movie, and I gotta say, they're pretty good. Yeah. Really Useful Engine, of course, that's, like, my all-time favorite song, and I think it's kind of cool how, they did it for this film. Yeah. Not bad. Really good. And, of course, Troublesome Trucks. Pretty great. I love how, there was, like, of course, a twist and everything, like, about, like, you know, Thomas pulling the trucks along the line and, of course, going up Gordon's Hill and everything. Like, if you compare this with the original song, you'll know exactly what I'm trying to say, you know? So, yeah, pretty good soundtrack overall. And now it's my final thoughts. Overall, do I recommend The Adventure Begins? The answer to that is absolutely. Like, this is definitely one of the best Thomas films ever. Like, this film was created to celebrate 70 years of Thomas. It's basically like a readaptation of, like, the first 2 Arrow series books, and yeah, everything I was mentioning earlier. Like, this film is just fantastic. Like, I seriously think every Thomas fan should own this film, or at least should watch it, you know. So basically, if you're a Thomas fan, or if you're like a true Thomas fan, definitely pick up this one. And of course, if you were to pick up this one, I'd say, like, the price you should pay, like basically do not leave the $5 to $10 range for this one. Yeah. So basically, overall, I recommend you pick up The Adventure Begins. Like, this is definitely one of the best films of all time. And this movie is definitely somewhere in my top 3 of my favorite Thomas and Friends movies of all time. So anyways, that about wraps up this video. In the next episode, we'll be on Whale of a Tale, so please stay tuned. See y'all next time. Bye.